When's the last time you went somewhere for the first time? I think about the first time I went to Buc-ee's, and if you've been there, you know this feeling too. You walk in and suddenly there's 100 gas pumps and there's hundreds of people and they're yelling brisket on the board and you're wondering where the bathroom is, and then you discover that there's 30 bathrooms that you can choose from. You're wondering why there's pillows and there's snacks and there's drinks all in the same place, and it's incredibly overwhelming because you don't know what's going on, you don't know who's there, and you don't know where to go, what to do, who to talk to even, because there's so much going on. It's an incredibly overwhelming thing to see.
I can think of the last time that I planned a vacation, and I think about when we were trying to decide which hotel are we going to stay at, which excursion are we going to try to do, which restaurant are we going to eat at. It was not a fast decision. We explored all of our options. We went into detail. I mean, this is the information generation. I mean, we're trying to get all the details that we had and try to compare the different offers and specials and experiences. And I think about how much time went into just deciding where we were going to go eat, a small decision, where we're just going to go spend an hour. There was a lot that went into that, a lot of preparation. And as we think about church leaders, the same is true in our community. In fact, church people who are thinking about visiting churches are doing that type of research. But a lot of times when they show up for the first time, they're put in an experience that's much more like going to Buc-ee's than doing the research on a resort or a restaurant. And that's a lot to manage whenever you're visiting somewhere for the very first time.
It's true, but if you were to go to Buc-ee's with someone who's been there a couple times, they know what the best snacks are. They know where, how to go to they know to go to the bathroom and then to grab snacks and then to check out and get your gas last. You have a guide and you feel like you can enjoy the environment, appreciate it for what's there, and also you know who to go to, where to go to, and what you're going to experience. That's the kind of first-time guest experience we want to provide new people. But there's a little bit of strategy that's involved in how we do that.
See, we know as church leaders, nobody wants to make a first-time guest feel like Buc-ee's, but sometimes we do that. Because our digital systems are not all the way up to where we want them to be, and our marketing, we just don't know how to do it. It takes a lot of time, and there's a whole lot of things we can unpack there, and our strategic communication isn't as strategic as it should be. But at Connect Ministries, we exist to serve church leaders in this way. And we have a saying that we like to train church leaders on about a way that kind of prioritizes how do we talk to these different groups of people. And we challenge church leaders, make sure you have your target market right. Who's your primary audience? Who's your secondary audience? When you have that right, a lot of these other things actually fall into place.
And what we would tell you your primary audience should be is those first-time guests. Yes, there's people in your church who have been there who are bought in. They are your top volunteers. They are people who love your church. They love seeing the newest video of your pastor on social media. But there's also people who have never even met your pastor. And if your social media was welcoming to them, your website was welcoming to them in a way that they're able to know all the information they need, so when they show up, it's a experience that's enjoyable, it's an experience that's relational, it's an experience that's life-giving for them. That is an incredible experience for those first-time guests. But you have to be really intentional about this. It doesn't just happen like that. You need to think through strategically your website, your social media, your first-time guest forms. If I had never been here, would I understand how to read this? Would I understand what our kids ministry is? Would I understand where to go? Would I understand what time services are? Would I understand what the church has for me? People who are already a part of your church are going to know some of this, but someone who's never been, that's the questions they're asking the most. And you want to make sure your communication is making it super duper clear to them where they fit in and how they can be a part of your church when they visit for the first time. A couple Sundays ago, I was at our church and I was standing at the door ready to welcome some new kids into our room, and I saw a new family walk by, and one of our volunteers was showing them what class their kids were going to, and they asked, "How'd you end up finding out about our church?" And this family said, "Hey, we just moved here. We were Googling churches in the area to be a part of, and your website just seemed like you guys had a great kids ministry, that our kids would belong, that they would have fun, and that's really important to us as parents, that they're discipled well. So we wanted to stop in and see it in person." And that is a real first-time guest, how they might show up to your church. It's not just people who know your church on your website, it's people who have never even heard about it before.
Now we know that you may be hearing this and you say, well, this is kind of different than what we're thinking. Like, new people aren't really following our account, or we're not really sure that anyone's actually visiting our website. What we would challenge you to ask is, what would a first-time guest be thinking if they saw this? Because you kind of have to build the processes and systems and rhythms in order to start to see the results. And it's a continual journey. It's always changing. The community around us is always changing. And so by just asking that question, what would a first-time guest think when they saw this? Or even asking someone in your community who doesn't go to your church, hey, whenever you see this, what do you think? You might be able to uncover something. And so that's our challenge. If this feels really different or really counter to what you're already doing, just ask the question and see where it goes from there.
So if you're wondering, how do I do this? The biggest thing that you need to keep in mind when you're thinking about who you're talking to as the church is the first-time guests who are going to come visit for the first time on Sunday morning. Does your website tell a first-time guest where they should go, what time they should be there, and what they can expect? Does your social media highlight who your pastor is, what some of your ministries are, and how they could connect with those? Or does all of your communication align just for the people who are a part of your church, the people who are already sitting in your seats on Sunday morning, who already know what's going on, and it's used as more of an announcement board or a billboard for the things going on in your church? You want to make sure that your communication is targeted towards the people who are going to hear it and see it and experience it for the first time, so that they feel welcomed, they feel like they belong, and they feel like they get to understand and experience the love of Christ well as they walk into your church community. How you do this is you want to make sure you're really clear. You want to make sure you have clear next steps. Your website and social media are on brand, they look super similar, and that everything they experience in a digital format represents who your church is when they come on Sunday morning. Because if someone feels like they know what to expect, they know where to go, they're not going to experience it like someone walking into Buc-ee's for the first time, but they'll experience it like the resort guest who's done the research to plan their entire vacation. So when they see that view as they walk through the hotel, it's not the first time they've seen it, but it's so much more amazing because they've seen it in person this time.
Now, practically, for you as the church leader, what are you going to do about it? Well, specifically thinking about your website, what is the goal of your website? Like, at the very top of your website, what are you trying to communicate? Are you trying to get them to fill out a plan your visit form? A form that first-time guests fill out in preparation of coming to visit your church in person? Is that the goal? Well, does your website show that? How many times on the page is that link there? What about social media? What are you trying to communicate in the header of your Instagram and Facebook profile? What does your pinned post say? What do they say? Or how do they explain your church? These are just some small things that you can ask your church as you're strategically planning. Obviously, our team has some recommendations that we would love to share with you guys. We provide training resources in the form of YouTube videos. We will even do a free evaluation of your digital presence. You can check out the description below and fill out a form, and our team will go in and look at your website and your social media and give you some practical next steps about how can you make your primary audience new families, and how can you make your secondary audience your members. And we'd be happy to do that and share that with you. But what's important is that we do take time to think about, what does this look like to someone who's never stepped foot in a church, or especially never stepped foot in our church? That's an important question you can ask.